If you're hearing the sound of my voice or watching this on YouTube, that means you're now tuned into another chapter of the Introverted Intuition podcast. This is our 160th chapter. Give it up for us. Clap at home, clap in the studio. My name is Jeff, aka Amazon best-selling author. I got my brother with me as always, CR.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your man CR, aka Conscious Rap, BKA Chocolate Rob, representing Jump Out the Flame. What's good?
Before I introduce our guests and get into this episode, I just want to remind you guys that we are sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a service that provides online therapy. And based off the way 2020 was, the way 2021 is kind of looking for some people, therapy, especially from the comfort of your own home, is a necessary medium for peace. So if you go to betterhelp.com/introvert and use the code introvert at checkout, you'll get 10% off your first month. Again, that's betterhelp.com/introvert. Use the code introvert at checkout to get 10% off your first month. Thank you, BetterHelp, and let's get into the show. We have a guest today recording live from Atlanta. Through the blessing of Clubhouse, or just me happening to be in the right room at the right time, I managed to get this guy to come on our show as a guest. He's a dope artist, dope producer, and just a genuinely dope individual based off the energy I got when I was in Clubhouse, as well as like kind of the interviews I've seen floating around on YouTube. So I'm very excited to have him on the show. And without further ado, please introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Thank you for having me. James Worthy, producer, songwriter, recording artist. Done a bunch of stuff, man. It's so much to name, so I'm not even gonna do that to myself. But thank you guys for having me.
Joining us. I have so many questions, but I just want to start with how are you? Coming off of 2020, such a crazy hectic year, coming into 2021 feels like a new start for a lot of people, and I'm just curious, how are you doing so far?
Man, I'm doing good. You know, keeping myself in good spirits. You know, positive energy around me as much as I try to keep it. And just staying creative, staying, consistent, and, just doing what you got to do,
Like I mentioned in the intro, I connected with you through Clubhouse, and obviously due to COVID, a lot of us don't really feel safe connected with new people. Do you feel Clubhouse has kind of kept you sane in a way because you're able to connect with new people?
Yeah, I mean, Clubhouse is just a good networking tool. You know, you get to meet all types of people that you may not run into, all the time. So it's good for that. With me, it's just like any other app. You know, I meet people all the time in different places and different avenues. So it's just pretty cool.
When did you get hip to Clubhouse? Like, were you on it before everybody else, or did you get into it when it became a trend?
I got on it after it came out. So, a lot of people just kept sending me invites and telling me about it. So I really didn't know what it was until later down the line. And I'm like, let me just see what this is about, because I keep getting all these invites and, hopped on there, man. And it turned out to be a nice little app.
I feel like as an artist too, you're probably gaining new fans. I feel like a lot of times artists, like, the fans only know the music. They don't know the person. But I feel Clubhouse is a great medium for them to know who you are.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's a little bit more personal. People have more time to talk and explain exactly who they are, what they do. And, you connect off of the app as well. So it's pretty interesting.
Right. So
I was just going to say, I need to utilize Clubhouse way more, because just like you, a lot of people sent me a whole bunch of invites. And, my co-host, my brother, he sent me one before everybody. And I finally got onto it, and I created my profile. I did as much as adding my profile picture. But I'm trying to figure out how to really maneuver. So is there any advice you give somebody who's trying to get onto Clubhouse and really learn how to utilize it?
Well, I guess you just got to figure out, what do you want to use it for? Is it more so just promoting your brand or your products, or you just on their network and just trying to meet new people and like-minded people, or, you're just trying to get people to follow your other social platforms. So, it's different ways, I guess, or different purposes for it. But it really just comes down to the type of rooms you're trying to be in, to really connect with people.
Absolutely. My only purpose on Clubhouse is to network. Like, I go into bullshit funny rooms sometimes because they are a little funny, but the purpose is always to network and grow. So the broader topic of this episode, I want it to be about mental health, experiencing your mental health issues both positively and negatively while being an artist. You are a well-established artist. You make great music. I love your project, Kaleidoscopes. That's a great project. Came out 2018, was it?
No, actually, that came out last year.
I got a big stuff with your other project that came out 2018. My bad. What's the other name of it?
So the first one was
Blue
called
Legion.
Blue
Blue
Legion.
Legion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I feel like you seem like a very seasoned artist. You've been around a bit, so you may have experience and information that you could provide to up and coming artists. Our brother here is actually also an artist, and we're definitely just looking to bridge the gap between artist and person's mental health because I feel like it's two different experiences. So could you just give us like a brief introduction to how you got into music and when your journey really began?
Man, it's always an intricate story. It started all the way in New York. I'm from Queens, New York. And man, I was just fortunate enough to just be around a lot of great talents, a lot of legendary artists, a lot of OGs in the industry, and just kind of being around in the same vicinities of these people and having conversations. And my dad did a lot of security work for a lot of artists, so it was kind of it gave me an outlet to just kind of be around certain people. And then as me just being a music lover, I was just, studying these people and studying different artists that I was a fan of at a young age. And it just really turned into me just like trying to see exactly where I would kind of end up in the music business or even the entertainment industry. And music happened to be that. And it just kept going from there. Like I started off songwriting, which then turned into production, and
Hmm. I feel a lot of songwriters have that itch to be an artist. Like a lot of songwriters I've heard, like Sean Garrett, for example, like really was heavily into songwriting and then transitioned to an artist. Was there always that itch to be an artist, or did you get to a space maybe you were comfortable doing what you were doing? Like, what was really the moment was like, yo, I want to commit to being an artist?
well, it was always something that I wanted to do, but I've always been a firm believer of just taking the steps to do so. You know what I mean? So I never really was one to just jump out and do stuff at the wrong times or if it didn't make sense. Like, especially when you're trying to be an artist and you have accolades with production and songwriting, but artistry is a whole different level. So you got to have some type of foundation behind you or some type of leverage or value, and that's what I had to obtain before I even stepped into the artist lane. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where things are now. But actually, in the grand scheme of things, it was really really interesting because like when I fully stepped out into the artist lane as a solo artist, it really didn't surprise people, which I kind of thought it would, but it really didn't. Like it was just kind of like a smooth transition to where I'm like, okay, I didn't even really know it was a demand until I really looked deeper into it. And then I'm like, okay, now it makes sense. Because if I would have had done this years ago, it wouldn't have gone over well.
Maybe that's a testament to who you are as a person. People just genuinely fuck with you, a person. They recognize your talent, and it was like, oh, this makes sense. Why didn't you do this earlier? You know?
Right, right.
I wanted to say that I'm the type of music lover. Like I like to, especially when we have artists on the show. I like to connect with their personality and the people first before I dive into their music. So I haven't dove into your music yet. So for me and others who might not have heard your music, can you describe to us what your sound is like? And how could you describe your music for the people that haven't heard you?
Well, you know what? A lot of my fans call my music, for lack of better words, dark R&B.
Mm.
So if you had to compare, which I hate comparing stuff, but if you had to, maybe more in a Weekend lane or more in a Frank Ocean lane or maybe even a Bryson Tiller lane or not even just emulating them, but just as a similarity.
Mm-hmm.
But with me, I like to genre bend. Like I like to infuse different things together that may not always be quote unquote traditional. You know what I mean? It's just feel good. If it feels good to me, then I like it.
And when you said similarities, you mean as far as style or content, or you mean both?
More so like sonically,
Okay.
musically or production wise, or even content wise sometimes, or just the vibe, I guess.
Okay, I'm more interested now seeing that you described it so well.
Kaleidoscope's a great project for real.
I will
Better
definitely
than
check
the
that out.
Weeknd's last project. I ain't gonna cap.
Mm.
But are these artists that you're compared to, like, are you inspired by them? Do you listen to them, or do you, ever since you got started getting those comparisons, do you tune them out?
You know what? It's interesting that I get those comparisons because those are actually my favorite artists.
Mm.
Mhm.
Still, it's so interesting. Like The Weeknd is probably my top two.
Mhm.
Frank Ocean definitely in that conversation. Um, I'm not the biggest Bryson Tiller fan, but I like Bryson. Um, you know, I love Sia. I love you know, Chris Brown is always dope. You know, so just artists in that vein.
Word. There's a quote from Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs. He says, "Focus is saying no to 1,000 things." And I imagine on the come up as an artist, you're getting a lot of opportunities for different placements for your music and for your brand. How did you develop that discernment to know what was a good look for you on your come up and even now?
Man, just doing your due diligence to actually research and study what's put in front of you, you know, not just jumping on anything that comes your way. You know, I see a lot of people that kind of do that. Like, it may sound good or whatever, but if it's not great on paper, then it really doesn't matter. And I've always, you know, it's, for me, coming from the business side and behind the scenes side with other things and other projects, you know, I've seen it all, you know. So moving forward, like, I make sure that whatever I get into or any type of business dealing has to be the right thing, you know what I mean? Because this is your representation and your brand that you have to protect.
Right. Can I play a quote from, actually a quote that you said in a previous interview? And I was curious to
Yeah.
see if you still feel this way.
Goes back to me. When I make the music that I make, it comes from here. Right. I'm not about chasing the popularity or making what's popular because I want some quick money or I want to be hot right now. My longevity is what makes me hot. You know what I mean? I agree.
This is why I say I love learning the artist before I listen to the music, because it gives me the right type of perspective to go into your music now. When I heard that, that described to me exactly what I want to hear in the artist that I listen to. I like that.
Oh, absolutely. That's a true statement. I mean, you know, I'm from up top, and you know, with me, you know, coming up the way I did, like I've taken like loyalty, longevity, and authenticity to the highest level. You know what I mean? In my ways of thinking. So like longevity is like, that's like the treasure. Because if you don't have anything, you're not gonna last. Period. You know what I mean? So if you really think about it, like, you got artists like Rolling Stones and, you know, all these rock groups that they don't have to do nothing a day in their life again, but their music is always going to make money.
Absolutely.
They're always going to get booked for something. There's always something that's going to be attached to them because there's that longevity.
And that's so true.
Facts. I feel like we were just talking about this too on the way here.
Yeah, that authenticity, man, it's where the value is when it comes to good music. It sticks to your ribs. When it's something that's coming from your heart, from your spirit, yo, people can tell. The people that, you know, consuming your music, they can tell.
Even if the masses don't really recognize it, your fan base, your core
Yes.
fans will recognize that and lead you towards that life of of legacy.
Yeah.
They'll make you a legacy act. Your fans will make you a legacy act before your music will.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. So prior to COVID, were you, I guess, what was your perspective on your career? Like, I feel COVID kind of shifted people's careers and made them pivot to certain new decisions to make going forward. Prior to COVID, what were your grander plans for your career?
Man, well, before COVID hit, it was a lot of plans. You know, I had just released Kaleidoscopes, and you know, we had a whole tour planned, and this and that, and traveling, and just so many things. And then COVID just kind of, you know, washed all of that away a little bit, just to kind of regroup, I guess, and restructure things. So in a way, you know, it was bad in that aspect, but it also gave me more time to create, and it gave me more time to be more creative and just go back to the drawing board and, hey, maybe I should change this around and change my ways of thinking, and, you know, just give me a better sense of who I am as not only as the artist, but as a person as well, to become greater, you know?
How long was that transition to really get back into the creative space? Because literally, pretty much this time last year is kind of when things started to go down. I
Yeah.
imagine, like, of course, you're creative, so you can always get yourself into that mold. But was there any fear and anxiety, even a bit of depression from losing the opportunity for that tour? 'Cause that's a lot of money you probably missed out on. So,
Yeah, yeah,
what were your
most
feelings?
definitely.
What was your feelings like?
Um,
Your
well,
mental?
like I never stopped being creative. That's one thing about me. Like I'm always creating. So COVID didn't really stop that. It was just more so, I guess, the external things. So of course, traveling and touring and performing and going to radio stations and this and that. All of that kind of came to a halt for a while. So on the creative side, like I've probably been the most creative as I've ever been in a short period of time.
Mm. How do you feel about virtual performances? And did you partake in any virtual performances during COVID?
I think they're cool.
Mm.
I think it's a creative way. People can pay per view, or whether you're doing it through a streaming platform or IG Live or Facebook or whatever. That's cool. Of course, everybody wants to get back to the stages and meet people in person. But I mean, for the time being, that's what we got. So we just got to work with it.
Right. Have you done any yet?
I've done like one or two, but I just kind of strayed away from it a little bit because I like the
I
organic
know.
feel.
That's why I haven't done it yet, because it's like one of the artists on my label did one. The label like hosted it for him. He just dropped the project. It was cool to watch. I enjoyed it, but it's like, damn, would I really like to just perform for the camera? I would at least have to have my label or a couple people there. You know what I'm saying? To at least get that real live feeling.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, it's tough, man. Especially with the virtual thing, like you
Yeah.
got to get used to it because
Yeah.
it's not a thing to where like it's just okay, whatever. Like you really got to get used to it, and I'm just used to doing regular, traditional shows,
Mm-hmm.
or even if it's pre recorded or something like that. Like it's just a different feel,
Mm-hmm. I agree.
and yeah, man, I just kind of strayed away from it a little bit. I might do one this year, depending on how things go,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
I want to see you do Tiny Desk at Home, bro. Because the
Mm.
way Blue Leisure sounds, like,
That's hard.
yo, that whole
That's
project would be
hard.
enough for that. That would be dope, bro.
Mm.
And speaking of your projects, Blue Leisure, and Kaleidoscopes, they're both 7 songs each. Is that by design, or is that what's the reason for that?
They were definitely by design. They're both EPs, and it's just really both of those projects was just setting up for my debut album, which is releasing this year.
Mm.
And they're both concept projects, and they're both as I would call it, growth projects. So Blue Leisure was of course the debut, just showing people, who I am as an artist, what you can expect from me, different stories. And it was really, really sonically dark in the sense, with the production and even the mixing style. But Kaleidoscopes was just a continuation of it, but just a little bit more musical and showing the growth as an artist, as I'm continuing to, perfect my craft. And now it's just going into a higher level with this new album. So yeah, I mean, that's just what it was. Like I never want to I didn't want to put out an album that I didn't have enough behind yet.
Mm.
Like I didn't want to put it out and then I don't have enough push, or I don't have the
No
resources that I
momentum.
need,
Mm.
or I don't have the team. You know what I mean? So now I do. So now it's the perfect time.
I have a question too, right? For the marketing aspect of putting out a project, because I'm an independent artist and I do everything out of pocket, out for myself, like me and my team, right? And I just realized what I think is a missing piece for what I was doing, and it was reaching out to different blogs and online articles. is that a very critical aspect of marketing yourself and building an online presence?
Uh, I mean, yeah, definitely. Press is a really, really big thing. That's part of your visibility. So especially, if someone's Googling your project or something like that, it's definitely great to have. It just depends, I guess, on the platforms that you're going for. Of course, if you're going for like the biggest ones, it's going to be a little bit more politicky going on over there. But most of the time with these smaller platforms, they're always looking for content. So
Mm-hmm.
it would be easier to email them and send them what you have and let them know who you are. Nice little press release. And most of the times they do post stuff.
Mm-hmm. And you feel like cumulatively that would, equate to it
Yeah. The more you have,
Yeah.
the more attention you'll start getting to get to some of those bigger platforms.
So, all right, cool. So I'm on the right track when it comes to that. That's
Oh yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
For sure.
I pay attention to the music industry a lot, and I've heard a lot of artists say, specifically Russ, that playlisting is important as well. Getting featured in some of these playlists. Have you been featured, and if not, like, how do you have an idea of how to get featured in on some of these playlists, like Rap Caviar, for example, or Spotify?
Yeah, I've been featured on quite a few playlists, and really, in my not opinion, but in my scenarios, I guess it was just more so like I guess they were seeing the overall traction of some of these songs, and then they just started adding them in, or I guess how the algorithms work, like whatever song is getting the most traction on like a Spotify or something in a certain genre, then they'll add it in there. Or a lot of times just reaching out to curators or reaching out to independent playlists that have a huge following to sometimes piggyback off of Spotify curated playlists too. So it's really no one way. It's just it's just your visibility, I guess.
My next question is, are you independent or are you signed to a major label? And I ask that because I'm honored that you're here tonight, but I was expecting to hear from your PR agent or the label to even get you on this platform. And I'm not saying that, I just feel like there's a stigma that has been placed upon me by these artists who are signed and they're well established, because I feel like they are not really looking to just put themselves anywhere. But I feel independent artists are not. I'm not going to say they're desperate or looking for a look, but they just want to be out there as much as possible because they have a lot more work to put in. So, are you independent or are you signed to a label?
Yeah. I'm strictly independent. I have a major distribution deal, but I'm not signed directly as an artist to any label.
Is that by choice or is that just not the right time?
Really, it's by choice. A lot of times when artists sign to major labels now, they're giving up a lot of their ownership.
Yeah.
And me, I never really wanted to do that. So I would rather just have, major distribution and get those same resources, but not sign directly.
So with the major distribution, that includes like advertisement and like everything like that, or is that just strictly like getting your music on platforms? Like, what does that include when distribute? Because we hear distribution a lot. Yeah.
Really both. I mean, and it's different types of distribution. So, with major distribution, most of the time, if you're dealing with a major label, their job is to get you on all platforms. Their job is to get you to these curators on these streaming platforms. Their job is to distribute the music, digital and physical. It's just getting it to as many avenues and platforms as possible. That's what it's for.
I feel there's certain labels that are benchmark driven, so that's kind of determining how successful you can be and should be. But for independents, you kind of set your own benchmarks. So for Blue Leisure and Kaleidoscope, so now this upcoming album, what does success look like for you? Is it simply the amount of streams, or is it the amount of organic reception that you get on social media? What does success look like for you?
Really just impacting people, just, having my music resonate with people, like numbers is always going to be there. It's always going to come. That's not the end all be all. It's really just how the music can make people feel to come back for more, You know what I mean? Or
Damn, that's so
hell, keep that song on replay, or keep that
So
album on
true.
replay. You know?
Type of person, bro. When I like a song, when I first hear a song that I like, I literally have listened to songs for like 6 hours straight, like one song.
Right.
Because I'll be driving, doing Lyft or whatever, and I'll listen to that one song for hours, like hours.
Yeah, same.
Bet.
My next question is, at this point in your career, based off everything you've done, you've experienced, do you feel more successful or do you feel more accomplished? And if you feel more accomplished, what will it take for you to feel successful in your career?
I mean, it's really all about growth. You know what I mean? Like, I want to not only grow as an artist, but grow as a person. You know what I mean? And have my fans a part of that process. You know what I mean? That's really the biggest thing. And of course, you know, getting, you know, the rest of the stuff as far as endorsements, as far as, you know, bigger promotion, bigger opportunities, blah, blah, blah. You know, those are like the icing on the cake. But man, it's just really like just really building with organic people that have been rocking with you from the beginning.
Right. Do you remember like your first interaction with a genuine fan? Like your first few fans, do you remember?
I would probably say, I think I was in London one year, and I was at a festival, and there was a fan that came up, and at this time, I think I had my first single out, which was called Blue Sunsets, and this one fan had stopped me, like probably some chicken stand that I was at or something. It was hot out there. I was hungry. So she stopped me, man, and she told me she was a big fan and she knew the lyrics to the song and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? And the song wasn't even out that long, but it was just like an aha moment. I'm like, wow. So that was pretty cool to where, like, you know, I started seeing more and more of it as time went on, but that was just a super, super dope moment.
I know that the biggest thing about good songs is the moments that we connect them to. And whatever moments that she connected your song to, that's why she was able to know those lyrics and to memorize it so well, is because she made that association with your song or whatever it was that she might have been going through. Like, that's powerful, bro. Like, me and Jeff, before we got into the studio today, we had a great conversation about us being healers and realizing our power. And that's healing right there, bro. Like, you know, you're a healer. So that's what's up.
Right. And I feel like that's confirmation of your product, right? Because product does outweigh talent. You could be the most talented artist, but if you're not if you don't have the product that really reaches people and affects people,
Resonates with them.
you're not really gonna go too far unless you kind of solidify your product. And I think that's what you've done. Honestly, like, I keep repeating this stuff myself, but I do love these both 7-song projects. Like, genuinely, R&B is my favorite genre of music, and I think you've mastered your craft and you got your product correct. And I'm just very excited to see what the album's gonna sound like. How much different is the album gonna sound than these 2 EPs?
Man, the album is definitely more eclectic. Definitely a lot more diverse in the tempos, and just the writing and the arrangement and the sonics of the album is incredible. You know, and I really, really took my time with this. You know, basically each project that I put out, I've spent about a year creating them. But with this project, I pretty much I started working on it really in March of last year. So I've been creating this project ever since then, and I'm still creating right now. You know, towards the tail end, but it's been an amazing experience. It's just a very, very musical album.
You mentioned earlier in the conversation that you are also a songwriter. And I feel what makes a good writer is being able to pull impactful lyrics or words from other people's stories. Do you do that often in your music? How much of your music is pulled from just your brain or other people's stories as well as your own? Like, what's the ratio?
Um, I mean, when I write songs, it definitely comes from a real place, and it definitely comes from a lot of my own experiences, or from time to time, maybe I'm seeing some other people go through stuff, and it might be similar to me, or somebody that's close to me. So it's usually like that. So I probably give it 50-50. It's whatever really hits me that resonates with me. That's what I go with anyway.
Yeah. I feel like that's what makes a good artist, that feeling that you can tap into to know what really makes sense for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that's what makes a good artist. That feeling that you can tap into to know what really makes sense for you. And how are you with features? Me and CR talk all the time. We're very selective with who we have on this platform. He's selective with who he has on his music. How do you have the discernment to know who would be a good fit for your music?
You know what? A lot of times when I work with people or when I feature with people, it's people that I know personally, or it's people that I'm friends with. Like a lot of times, I don't like doing features with people that I don't know,
Oh
or
my
people
God.
that we don't have
Yes,
a
he's a real
relationship.
musician, bro, because it's personal, right? It's
Yeah,
personal. Just because I do music and you do music doesn't mean we're gonna do music together. I need to know you, hang out
right.
with you. We have to have a relationship because that chemistry matters. I'm sorry to cut you off. Keep going, because I just felt that.
Oh no, you're absolutely right, man. And I tell people too, if you don't know somebody that you're working with, there's no obligation, or there's no real attachment to the project or the song. Like that person doesn't have to promote it. That person doesn't have to do this and that. You know what I mean? So, with me, I would rather just work with somebody that, I know personally. We both on the same page. We both know what we got and what we're doing, and we come together and make something special.
That's what's up.
That's true artist, man. That's like what it makes a real true artist. And I would, if I was like a real musician, I wouldn't want to even have a verse mailed in to me or emailed to me. I want the whole creation of the song to be done in person in the studio. That's how I would feel. I feel it's more of a real experience.
That's always the best. But even so, if that can't happen, which sometimes I can't always be in the studio when I'm specifically working with someone. But if I do, if it has to be a situation to where we're sending stuff back and forth, we're in communication. Like we're making sure that everything that's going on with this song, we know about it. Or I have input, they have input, and you know what I mean? We just make it happen.
What is this all for you? Like, is the goal to get a Grammy? Is the goal to just be as rich as possible? Is the goal just to affect as many people as possible? Like, what are you working towards with your music career?
I mean, it's just what I love to do.
Mm.
You know what I mean? That's just what it comes down to. It's what I love to do. I genuinely love making music. I genuinely love making music for my fans. And, it makes me feel alive. It's not really about money all the time, or trying to be famous, or nothing like that. All that stuff is going to come.
Yeah.
With the right team and the right push, all of that is going to come. But if you don't really have the genuine love for it, then there really is no end goal. Like you just doing whatever. Like with me, I just love it.
I Tell me if you agree with this, because this is how I perceive music for myself, right? Being an artist, it's a spiritual journey, right? Because you're putting your energy into MP3 format. You know what I'm saying? You're taking your energy, you're putting your thoughts into words, and you're combining that, and you're putting it out into the world. That's you transferring your energy, whatever you were feeling and thinking in the moment that you created that piece. That's what reality that person who's consuming your music has to connect to, right? That's just how I feel. It's us giving our energy to other people. We're literally selling our energy.
Right.
Whatever your energy may be, right? There's different types of artists, but you're selling your energy, and I love that. You know what I'm saying?
There's a responsibility that all artists kind of take on. Like once you get these fans, they're invested in you and your life. So you don't have to create when they want you to. But you kind of owe them, because the feelings you provide them, there's an obligation.
There's an obligation as an artist that I know I'm a fan of. Once I'm a fan of you, I'm a fan of you. And I expect more. You know what I'm saying? I will always want more because I'm a music junkie. Like, I need more.
Do you feel that pressure, like that responsibility to provide for your audience?
You know what? Like with my audience, I think like the way I've been moving is like I don't have to put out, you know, 3-4 projects a year, or I don't have to put out 3-4 singles a year. Like I kind of built the fan base of like whenever I do release stuff, they're of course they're anticipating it, but it's not like it's an obligation to like keep putting out this and this and this and this. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of times I'll strategically do things to where like, okay, I'll give you a project, you know, early in the year, give you a single off the project. Cool. Then I do a couple collabs with other people in there, and then it kind of it holds them over because I'm already giving you a lot. You know what I mean? And then you already have 7-8 songs to choose from. So it's really not much more to really give until the next year. You know what I mean? And then, you know, it's been a cool thing.
Do you have a name for your fan base? Like, do you have like a hive name for your fans?
Basically, it's just the Worthy Hive.
Cool. Okay. Shout out to the Worthy Hive. Don't kill us for our interviewing skills.
Right? Are you right?
Nah, man, it's all good, man. You know, these are just music lovers, you know, creatives. You know, they just love music.
Would you ever collaborate with a fan? Like on a song?
I haven't done that, or that hasn't really came up, but I guess it just depends on the person.
Because he did say he needs to have a relationship and some type of connection.
True.
Before he can really feel comfortable working with somebody. It's kind of hard working with a complete stranger.
It is a one-way connection between the fan and the artist.
Right.
Yeah, because, you know, a fan could be a fan, but they can also be crazy. You know, because they are a fan. So you know, you might not want to open that can of worms.
You know.
And nowadays they might have COVID. Like my fan gave me COVID.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't even want to take that risk.
Nah.
So we talk about your fans a lot, but I imagine everyone who consumes your music doesn't like it. How do you feel about negative feedback? Does it affect your subconscious at all, or do you just not care about it?
Yes. How do you deal with constructive criticism as an artist, as a creative?
I mean, it really doesn't faze me, to be honest with you. A lot of times it's just, hey, all right, that's just one opinion. You know what I mean? But, you know, not saying that their opinion isn't valid. You know, that's how you feel. But with me, I make music on how I feel and how it feels to me. You know what I mean?
Nobody can tell you how to feel.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, but I'm always open to, you know, constructive criticism, or, you know, what you think you don't like and what can be enhanced and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? That's always great to become greater. But I don't never let that negativity get inside.
Great. I want to make one observation. I think that also, right, the people who criticize, you know, music or artists, you know, at a high volume, they seem to be more technical than creative, if you get what I'm saying, right? Because I noticed that a lot, especially when I work with certain engineers or whatever, right? Because really music is there's no right or wrong way. Right? Yeah, there's a standard depending on who you're trying to sell it to when you're talking in terms of money and business. But when it comes to the pure art of music, there is no right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? But then when it comes to the technical-minded people, it's very black and white.
Right. My mantra for 2021 has really just been think what you want. Like, for the longest of times, I would let outside opinions just dictate how I move forward, and it would really affect me and halt my progress. Now, if anyone has an opinion about my stuff, whether it's positive or negative, think what you want, because that's your thought. How I feel about it is all that matters.
That's it.
Everything I do, I know I'm great at. Everything I know that I do is necessary. So think what you want, truthfully.
One of the things that I will always say is like, yo, I make music for me. I'm just sharing it with you guys.
So we're really big on mental health in this podcast. We both have a deep relationship with mental health, and mostly in a negative way. It's definitely dictated our journeys and dictated our progress in life. And being that you're an established artist, it took you a lot to get to this space where you're at now. Probably a lot of lows, a lot of highs as well, but do you have a relationship or a history of mental health, and how has it affected your journey both positively and more so negatively, is what I'm trying to hear?
But
Yeah, I mean, it definitely affected me at different points. You know what I mean? You know, at certain points, you may go through a little depression, or you go through a little phase of doubting yourself, or you know, second guessing yourself rather, or you know, just just uh, overthinking things too. You know what I mean? I had to get over that too. You know what I mean? Because sometimes when you feel like things aren't moving fast enough, or you feel like you know things aren't happening, or people are not supporting you, or whatever the case is, you know, all that could take a toll on you.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to really just kind of sit back and reevaluate myself, and you know, just get back to a positive place, and not really worry about other people's opinions about me. It was just really about who who am I as a person, you know what I mean, which can rub off on the next person, you know what I mean, and in the sense of like who am I to someone else,
Mm.
you know what I mean, like that was a mindset of mine. And now I'm just to the point to where I have to keep positive energy around me 24/7. You know what I mean? That can dictate a lot of other things around me too.
On the flip side of your mental health, your success may affect other people's mental health in a negative way. It may feel like they're less than. Have you noticed throughout any point in your journey any changes in the people that may have been close to you and really supportive of you? The more successful you got, you felt like they kind of switched up, and how did you handle that? If so,
Oh yeah, for sure. Tons of people, tons of people.
Mm.
And you know, at first, you know, I didn't understand it. You know, I didn't know why, you know, what's the issue. But then, you know, you have to realize that you can't understand everybody, and you can't understand what someone is going through mentally. You can only, you know, assume maybe, or offer a solution or help. But if they don't want to help themselves, then that's a whole different topic. You know what I mean? And I had to stop figuring out, or trying to figure out, what their issue is. You know what I mean?
Mm.
If that's where we are, then that's where we are.
In your journey, have you ever like ran into people, you know, maybe that you grew up with, or people in your own family that seen your success and then you know started to like lean on you a little too much? You know, have you ever dealt with anybody who tried to take advantage of your heart?
Yeah, a lot, a
Mm.
lot. You
Because I
know,
can
because
tell
I
you're a
try
good
to.
person. I can just tell by your vibe that you're mad down to earth and you probably genuinely care about your friends and your family. So I'm
Oh yeah,
sure,
I
yeah,
do. I
fantastic.
definitely do, man. You know, I try to show respect and love to everybody, you
Mm.
know, that I can, in the right ways, you know. But it's definitely been times where, you know, people try to, you know, take advantage, and, you know, try to do things, you know, the wrong ways, or try to get this and get that out of you. And, you know, me being you know, a kind-hearted person, and just trying to see the good in people, you know, in the past is definitely burned me.
Mm.
But you get smarter, you get wiser, and you just, you know, you just more conscious of the people that you deal with.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's business associates, or anybody, you
Yeah.
know?
and success is subjective. Like I've heard, I think it was JID on Dreamville. He was talk. He said he was in an interview. He was talking to one of his family members who kind of had their life together. Like they have a family, kids, all that. But he said that he looks at him as successful, even though JID is like
Famous
a
and
Grammy nominated artist. He looks at like the regular cousin who has a stable life as successful. And that's how I feel. Like I don't care, no matter the accolades or money I get. I'm always gonna look at my brother as successful. He may look at me as vice versa. You know what I mean? So man, the more you achieve, the more you ascend. Like you gotta pay closer attention to who you keep around you, because niggas will switch up on you.
And that's why I always say, like, this is a spiritual journey, right? In entertainment, I feel like we're the healers of the world, right? We love to make people laugh, make them feel inspired, whether if you're a comedian, a musician, whatever, an actor. That's really what you're doing, right? So you're gonna attract a lot of people who need healing. You're gonna attract a lot of people who are damaged, a lot of people who, you know what I'm saying, are gonna be attracted to your light because they've been in the darkness for so long. So you have to be protective
Right.
of your energy, and you have to value yourself and limit your access. Like there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's, just being smart.
Yeah. I feel like even some artists who, like you, who are super established, may have a bit of hesitation from like limiting the people who are around them because, some people just don't want to be looked at as like that guy. Like, oh, you got on, now you forget about us? Like, that would be my fear. Like, because I would never want people to feel that way. I'm just doing it for myself.
Well, a lot of times when people say, you forgot about them or whatever, most of those people are the ones that weren't supporting consistently.
Exactly.
Or they weren't there in the beginning to really, really, truly support you. So there's a reason why you got left behind.
That's a fact.
Yo, he's so real though, because it's true. And people always say that, yo, you forgot about me. Yo, you Hollywood now. I know you heard that.
I know you heard that.
No, it's not about being Hollywood. I just leveled up. You know what I mean? And those people who have the luxury of continuing to, ride the roller coaster, they were there.
That's a fact.
That's a big fact.
Fact. And I'm sure, like, obviously, like, the more you succeed in your career, the more money comes. And in our community, the Black community, financial literacy is something, I feel for the most part, has to be learned rather than taught. Did you come into the game financially illiterate, or did you have to learn the more you progressed?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I had to learn a lot of things, a lot of trial and error, a lot of triumphs, a lot of mistakes, a lot of bad deals, a lot of this, a lot of that, just X, Y, and Z. But, I always tell people, man, experience is your best teacher. You know what I mean? Because if you don't have none, you don't know how to move forward with any type of situation. You know what I mean? And, I had to learn that at a young age, coming up in the industry. So, that is what like molds you. Because if you don't know anything, anybody could do anything to you. You know what I mean? Like, and you don't want that. So you got to learn, man, and just be a sponge.
Yep.
There's always something to learn. There's nobody on this earth that has all the answers.
Can you provide maybe an example, like, where things went left, like a bad deal, and how did that affect you? Like, what was an example of a bad deal
that you experienced?
Just bad split sheets, bad production deals, bad publishing deals, bad management deals, just all of that stuff, man. Just again, trial and error. So, I mean, it really just made me wiser and smarter to know, okay, well, this is what I don't need to do moving forward.
And I think that's probably best. I think independence is just the best way to go as an artist, because you're never gonna have someone to put the blame on. Like, you'll always be held accountable for every mistake you make. There'll be of course there'll be some complexities in certain deals or whatever, but it all falls on your shoulders and your team's shoulders at the end of the day. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, everybody has a role. You know what I mean? Like your team is everything. You know what I mean? So everybody has a role to play in your team. But if you keep it in house, and if you keep it, to the people that you truly trust, independently, versus leaving everything up to, a higher entity, it's always easier that way. You know what I mean? Because you got people that have your best interests. You know what I mean? And if you're doing let's just say, like, if you have a joint venture with a major label or a distribution deal, you're not directly signed to them, but you still have resources that your in-house team can, have to move you forward.
What is it like being a leader of a team? I kind of just slowly transitioned to that role. My brother here, like he said, he has a record label, and he's been a leader for a long time, and obviously you're a leader. What is it like having that leadership role? Is it easy, or was it a tough adjustment to accept the fact that people will come to you for their problems, like your HR, your payroll, your all that? So what is that like?
Yeah, it definitely could be difficult. It can be overwhelming. You know what I mean? With wearing so many hats and, just trying to keep everybody, afloat and on the same page, and, all of that stuff, man, it could definitely be difficult. But at the same time, it's great because, you're giving people opportunities, you're giving people platforms, and you letting people flourish in their creativity too. So, it's always a good and a bad side to anything. So, I mean, that just comes with the business.
Right, it costs to be the boss.
That's how you feel too. Like, you kind of, I see you in your pressure-filled moments of being a boss. Like,
I definitely can appreciate being in a leadership position because it does test your critical thinking and it tests your ability to just be a problem solver. And it translates to all parts of your life. The better I've gotten with my business, the better I've gotten with everything else in my life. Like, just everything, just managing life is like managing a business. My life is a business. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has a business that they're running. It's called life. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like it just, if you look at it that way and you're constantly learning, like you said, you're just always going to be able to level up.
right. There's a quote from my most recent podcast I started to fall in love with, the I Am Athlete podcast. Fred Taylor on that podcast, he had a quote that he says, "You eat what you kill." I interpreted that simple quote as whatever you want out of life, you got to get it. Whether it's the money, the accolades, the everything. You have to have that drive. You have to have that killer instinct to get what you want. Do you have that competitive killer instinct nature, or do you just like let everyone do what they do and you're in your own lane and that's it?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely a go-getter. You know what I mean? I've been like that from a very young age, and still like that. I'm more so like, hey, if there's something that someone said I can't do or I can't get, well, I'm gonna show you that I can.
That's
No ifs, ands, and buts. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't have gotten to where I am now if I wasn't a go-getter. Because it's not easy to be in this game at all. Like, you got to take things.
Yo, yes, this is such a good conversation. I'm sorry.
That killer instinct.
Yo, because it's so true. It's so true.
Could you walk us through what like a typical studio session is like for you? Like, what's the vibe? Is there incense? Is there candles? Is there women in the studio? Like, what's that like?
Like when I create, I like to like either most times be by myself or I'll be with either one of my songwriters or one of my engineers, just kind of creating that way. Like, I don't like to have studio sessions with a bunch of people in there, for those that I don't know or those that really don't need to be there, like, because it throws me off. Like, I need to be in sync with my thoughts and the key people that I'm creating with. And really the vibe is just real simple. I like candles. I like dim lighting and candles just to kind of set the atmosphere. You know what I mean? And it depends on the type of record that I'm working on too. But most times it's usually that kind of mood.
Touching back to like mental health for a second and like just like that darkness that comes with it. I hear specifically when people talk about like Mary J. Blige. They love her music when she's sad. We'll never want to hear a happy Mary. So how do you feel about, like, I guess, how can I say this? When you're going into certain songs, is it an extension of how you feel in that moment, or is it just based off maybe something that inspired you to create the song? Like, how much of your music is a reflection of your actual mood at the time?
A lot of it is like current mood, and then a lot of it is just inspiration too. So I guess it just comes down to the type of song it is. But I know most recently a lot of my music that I've been creating is really like current stuff that I'm going through or current things that I'm thinking in my mind or that I want to write about and stuff like that. But I guess it depends.
You've also given me on Kaleidoscopes a few times. You gave me a bit of a Miguel vibe. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, a lot, and I love Miguel. I love Miguel.
Yeah.
People have said that before. Actually, he's on my bucket list too to collaborate too with.
Oh shoot, who else is on there? Like, do you have like a long list, a long shopping list, or just a few?
Let me see. I got Miguel. I got Weeknd. I got Frank Ocean. I got Bazzi. I got Sia. I got Erykah Badu.
Legend.
I got Chris Brown on there. I got let me see. That's probably about it.
That's a good list.
That's a good list, and that's definitely possible. That's definitely gonna happen. I feel one day. I hope that Miguel feature does, because
I think he's gonna make it happen.
For sure.
I feel like he is.
How much do you pay attention to the current climate and sound of the music industry? Like when you're, especially during the creative process, do you tune all that out? Do you not listen to the new albums that drop every Friday, or do you pay attention?
I don't listen to everything that comes out, but I'll listen to a good portion of it. But sometimes, you know, especially nowadays, like I don't really kind of listen to a lot of everybody's stuff right now. I just kind of stick into, you know, my lane, and my thoughts right now is to create my own stuff, you know, because once you start listening to a bunch of other stuff, you know, you don't want that getting stuck in your head, and you know, now you trying to create something else, you know, from another artist. So I've listened to some stuff here and there, but I definitely got a lot of catching up to do.
For sure, I feel like there's been so many projects that dropped within the past like couple weeks, start of 2021 that I missed. I imagine you do love, you definitely seem like you have love the art of music. You're an artist at your core, but the different aspect and the different necessary component to be a successful artist is to be a successful businessman. So how does your business sense play into your career? Do you take endorsement deals, investments, or how does your business mind work when it comes to your music as well?
Yeah, I definitely do. You know, I don't want to say all sorts of deals, but I do deals that represent me the best way, or represent my brand the best way. And I'm very hands-on with a lot of my things too. So it's not like I'm just gonna, you know, okay, this sounds good, and all right, let me sign on with this company. I have no idea what's going on, you know. So whether it's an endorsement deal or an ambassador deal or whatever it is, it just has to make sense.
Did you any of your stocks take a hit? Did you have any stocks in GameStop that took a hit during this most recent fiasco?
You know what? I haven't really got into stocks heavy, which I'm gonna do more this year, getting into stocks, because I see a lot of people doing that, and you know, I've been seeing so many
For sure.
companies.
Like I recently got into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is super complex, but once you kind of figure it out, and you could do, if you have Cash App, you could do it right from there. You don't have to download a separate app or anything like that. It's super convenient and very profitable. Paid a few bills recently with some Bitcoin.
If you get into cryptocurrency, check out an app called Coinbase. Nas, the rapper, is actually one of the part owners of that company too. So yeah, and it has all the different cryptocurrencies that's out right now. You could, you know, buy them, you know, and trade on that. It's definitely dope, and like it's better than just leaving like money in the savings account, because you know the percentage on that is really low these days, right? You know what I'm saying? So like you'll make a higher return on your investment if you like put money into like crypto and you just let it sit there. It'll, like, there's a lot of cryptos going up right now, so I would say look into Coinbase.
Could you provide a bit of advice to an up and coming artist? I mean, my brother right here, we're both up and coming artists, right? So, how do we get to a level where we're deemed as successful or like I guess how you are accomplished as well? Like, what does it take? What were the steps that you took to get to where you're at that other people could possibly follow?
Man, to really be honest, it's just about consistency, man. Like you can't stop. Like you know, a lot of people, they'll come out with a single or a project, and they'll push it for a certain amount of time, and maybe it didn't get as much traction as they thought it would, or they didn't get this, get that, and then they just fall off, or they give up or whatever. And you can't give up. The more consistent you are, it's something is gonna stick.
Something.
And it's something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you gotta stick around to see it.
How do you choose which one is the single? Like, what is it more of a feeling? Is it more of the reception from the people in your camp? Like, how do you choose which is the single to leave with the project?
Man, I lead by the feeling. You know, I always led by that. If it don't feel good to me, most likely it won't be released or it won't be a single.
Mm.
I don't want to ask you for like a snippet of your album because I'm pretty sure you won't give us that. Can you at least give us the title or a timeline when it will be released?
So right now we're looking probably at June. throughout the album. The next single will be coming out in March.
Okay.
So excited about that. And really dope record, man. No feature on this one, just straight solo record. But yeah, it's a great record.
I was going to say, I actually want to ask you a question about your visuals. Because like I said, I haven't dove into any of your art yet. After this, I'm going to dive in because I love your personality. So, what is your take on your visuals? Do you direct your own music videos? Do you work with different directors? Like, what is your creative process for the visuals? Because I feel like visuals are as important as the audio aspect of music, right? Visuals are just, So tell us about your visuals.
Yeah, visuals are super important. With me, I'm more of like a mood person and a mood artist. So a lot of times in my videos, it's a lot of coloring. It's a lot of interesting lighting going on, a lot of angles, just a lot of different, I guess you probably say, I guess more of a movie effect in the videos. Like it's more like you're watching a film than anything.
I love when music videos have that cinematography in it.
Right.
That cinematography, because I mean, like, I didn't study film in college, but I did take a film study class, and it made me look at the creation and production totally different. I have a huge appreciation, so shout out to Dom, my camera guy.
Yeah.
I have a huge appreciation for production.
Some songs just deserve visuals.
Yes.
When you just hear a certain song,
Yes.
like when you hear "Remember the Time," you got to see that whole video by Michael Jackson. So, yeah. Do you go into when you during the whole process of creating a song? Do you think like 5 steps ahead, like the visual as well, or is it just the song and then you think about the visual later?
Really, when I'm making a song, sometimes like I'm already coming up with concepts when I'm like making it, or it's at the tail end of the record. But most of the time, if I really feel strongly about the song, I'll low key start writing, treatments already, just so I can have that idea already flowing. So when it does come time, initially or officially, it's already there.
And you're from Queens, like that hip hop was birthed in the Bronx.
In
Like,
the 80s.
do you have any hip hop artists that inspire you?
Yeah, Houdini, A Tribe Called Quest, Q-Tip, Nas, man, there's so many artists. 50's from Queens, so I definitely rock with 50. Yeah, man, I mean, New York in general.
I have a super New Jerseyan question to ask. Is there a difference between Queensbridge and Queens?
No. Queensbridge that's just a project in Queens.
All right, I always wondered that because Nas always repping QB, and I'm just like, yo, like, is that all right, cool, thank you.
That was like a Snapple fact right there. That's dope though. And you're in Atlanta right now, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Man, the musical talent out there is endless. Like, and you made music while you were in New York?
No, actually, I left New York probably age 16.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started traveling after that.
I was gonna ask this: how much does your environment affect the sound of your music as well? Because there's a lot of culture and a lot of deep history and roots out there in Atlanta. So I was curious if that affects the sound of your music as well.
I mean, I wouldn't say it affects the sound, but it definitely, as far as creativity goes, with different people that I may deal with, that can play a part, but with me, I'm just one of those artists to where like I just have a vision in my head that I just try to get out in song format. You know what I mean? So it's so many ideas that just come, and I'm just in a creative space to where like whatever idea comes to mind, put it on the mic, put it on paper. You know what I mean? Put it wherever I'm.
One of my final questions for you is, what would you tell your younger self who is that wide-eyed kid who wants to be where you're at today, who wants to be creating albums, who wants to have a fan base, what piece of advice would you tell that kid and the kid just like him who isn't you, who has a dream of being an artist? What piece of advice, what words of wisdom would you provide them?
Man, you just got to know who you want to be in this business, man. You got to study the craft, study who you are as a person, take your craft seriously, um, you know, learn every day. There's always something new to learn every day. So just continue to be a sponge and learn the business. You know what I mean? Before getting into anything, please learn the business.
That's literally the phase we are in right now. Like
Mhm.
we look up to guys like you. I really value this information in this interview because you're I don't want to like diminish like where we're at in life, but you obviously have more achieved. You have a more impressive resume than us, right?
Mhm.
So we talk about this all the time. We are sponges to the game. Like we listen to every word of every person we look up to because we're not closed minded to the fact that we haven't made it yet. Like we're not naive or we're not blind enough to know that what these people are saying who are above us, like that information isn't valuable. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we definitely everyone should be open minded enough to take advice and take information in because you can only make it so far.
That's what gets
Absolutely.
that's what
I
gets you
agree with that.
far. Being humble and just like listening to the OGs, like you know what I'm saying? Like you obviously have so much to say tonight. And I want to say thank you for sharing that information
No problem.
and
No
being
problem.
generous with that information. Cause
Facts.
there's some people who know and act like they don't know. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like
Right.
who are you trying to keep out? You know what I'm saying? Like I appreciate that, man. You've been very transparent tonight. And, you know, I appreciate that. Seriously.
Oh, no problem, man. I appreciate you, brothers.
Absolutely. And just to close off, our last segment of the podcast we call Don't Sleep, where it's basically we recommend something to the audience you shouldn't sleep on. It could be something as simple as a food you had the other day or something a bit deeper. And yeah, my don't sleep is just you eat what you kill.
Mm.
Straight up. Like whatever you get on your table, whatever you get in your bank account, whatever you get in your life, like you gotta go get that. You gotta go hunt for that. You gotta go get that. So
Yeah,
don't wait on like the government to provide you with a check to you can invest into your studio time. Don't wait for your job to pay you. Like go out and make another source of income that'll pay you while you sleep. You eat what
that's
you
a
kill.
fact.
So
That's a fact. I second that. I second that.
where you got one?
I would say don't sleep on my project dropping next Friday. Cold Hearted.
No
It's my first R&B project and not putting any pressure on you, no obligation, but I would love to get your feedback. Like I will hit you up
Oh,
on
sure,
Instagram.
sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to put you on the spot or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? I know you busy, you got your things going on, but because I have respect for the person that you are, like I would love to get your opinion on this because this is my first time recording an R&B. Like I've been rapping and recording rap for a long time, but this is my first R&B, and I've been working on my voice. So I need somebody
Got you.
who's been doing it to give me real artistic feedback. So I'll
Got
reach out to you. It would be great to hear from you. For real.
Absolutely. I would love to hear it. Would
Thank
love to hear it.
Okay, cool. Can you just shout out where people could find you on social media and support your music?
Yeah. Everybody can follow me all social media platforms at King James Worthy. You can go to my YouTube channel, James Worthy Music. You can go to my website, jamesworthymusic.com. All my projects, all my singles, etc. on all DSPs, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, anywhere you can get music. It's available. And yeah, man, just stay tuned to the movement.